Do you ever wonder who first looked at a rotting pile of fruit starting to ooze juice and thought to themselves, yeah, I'm going to drink that? Today we are going back thousands of years to answer one burning question. How on earth did humans ever discover wine? And spoiler, it probably started with a monkey and a bad hangover. Long before humans were sipping on Cabernet, our primate ancestors were getting themselves quite tipsy. Fallen fruit, attacked by ambient yeast, would start to ferment. Scientists call this the Drunken Monkey theory. It's the idea that primates evolved to be attracted to the scent of fermenting, rotting fruit because it meant sugar, it meant calories, it meant survival. The ethanol in the fermented fruit acted like a beacon. Come and drink me before the insects do. And somewhere along the line, Neolithic man or woman picked up a bunch of grapes, decided to toss it into a clay jar of some sort, and maybe they left it, maybe they went back to foraging, hunting for mammoth, I don't know, came back a couple weeks later, and boom, the grapes were gone, and a fuzzy, fermented, probably quite smelly juice was in its place. And presto bam, we have wine. So in this time period, somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000 BC, depending on the articles you read, wine started popping up everywhere. Places like Georgia, Armenia, Iran, Egypt, Greece. With these domesticated grapevines, they started figuring out fermentation and using amphora to make and to store their wines. How do we know this? Well, because ancient winery sites, shards of clay pots with residue of tartaric acid from grape fermentation, all these sorts of things have been found by archaeologists and dated back to this period. And since then, there's been a wealth of artwork that's also been found depicting people making and enjoying wine. So early wine was kind of rough. It didn't taste anything like the wines from today. They didn't have fancy filtration. They didn't have temperature control and all the techniques that we have mastered today. It was cloudy, it was sour, it was most likely highly oxidized. And so they got creative, adding all sorts of things to make it more palatable, like resins and honey, ash, myrrh, different spices, even seawater. This all served to mask any faults, make it taste a little better, and extend its shelf life. So the Egyptians, they made wine for the elite. This was wine for the pharaoh, while the commoners would drink beer. In the Greek era, wine was a full-on obsession. It was central to the Greek notion of symposium, these very important philosophical debates that would go on for hours with liberal amounts of wine drinking. And it is where the foundations of today's democracy were laid down. So we could say that wine played an important role in the Western civilization that we enjoy today. And then, of course, we get into the Roman era and a lot of important things happened. They started to transport wine in barrel rather than amphora, which was a little more clumsy to carry around, a little heavier. So they introduced the barrel. They spread wine production, vineyard cultivation, and wine production all around Europe as they spread out across their empire, and their soldiers needed something to slake their thirst. They even wrote tasting notes. But Greek and Roman wine was very alcoholic, was often sweetened with must, and so they would liberally water it down. In fact, it was considered barbaric to drink full-strength wine. It was a recipe for lewd behavior and bad decisions. So with the fall of the Roman Empire, the future of wine looked very bleak indeed. Thankfully, it was the monks in many parts of Europe that saved the day. The medieval monasteries became the research and development labs of wine. In many regions of Europe, best symbolized by potentially the Cistercian and Benedictine monks in Burgundy, the monks really were highly methodical, plotting out the vineyards, little site by little site, plot by plot, really observing the differences that one site would bring to the expression of the grapes versus another, writing it all down, charting it down, and they really were the original masterminds of the concept of terroir. Hugh Johnson called them the silent architects of the European wine culture. Here's to wine, humanity's best happy accident. What's your favorite wine origin story? Mythical, monastic, modern? Let me know in the comments. Share. If you like this video, don't hesitate to give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.